Yeah, Ryan here. G'day everyone. Today I'm going to talk about some Australian identity. Yeah, so Australian identity is very diverse, and the bogan attitude in our identity is only presented through a portion of the community.
We as Australians and the land of Australia are known for our mateship, the beach, bush and more. The thing that I reckon represents Australia well is our bogan attitude. Bogans don't take many things seriously and dress and talk informally. They usually use slang and quite commonly offensive language on the daily basis. For example, Australia, they'd say Straya. My 3 points that help define the bogan identity is the history of bogans, not all Australians have a bogan attitude, and lastly, the slang and somewhat offensive language. Firstly, to support my point that only a portion of the Australian community can relate to the bogan identity, I'm going to talk about the history of bogans. The history of bogans dates back to the 1980s. The phrase bogan for most people comes from Melbourne, but is well known across the country.
The term is used to describe an Aussie person who dresses, acts and behaves and talks in a very casual manner. Bogans are likely to be seen wearing something such as a singlet or no top, thongs or no footwear, and often has a stubby with the boys.
My second point that supports the fact that Australian identity is very diverse is that not all Australians have a bogan attitude. Bogans have an attitude where they can take the piss out of pretty much anything and don't take much seriously. The film We Can Be Heroes... Oi, piss off! The film We Can Be Heroes by Chris Lilly provides a good example of the diversity of the people in Australia. Nathan and Daniel are twin brothers who live in the middle of nowhere with little civilization.
After Daniel's dad passed away, his mom finds a new partner, which causes Daniel to be disrespectful to Steve and his belongings. This extends to his dog Marcos being called something else.
However, this bogan attitude is only presented by a portion of the Australian community. Lots of Australians are the complete opposite. For example, take Clive Palmer, a well-known Aussie politician. Lots of Australians can relate to this posh attitude he shows towards his job and life. With these two different people in mind, I feel as though only a portion of Australia can relate to the bogan identity. My last point that supports the statement, Australian identity is very diverse, is the language bogans use. Aussie bogans often swear and use slang language, such as snag on the barbie. However, this doesn't represent Australia as a whole.
In the 1986 Crocodile Dundee expert, the use of slang language is exaggerated to portray the bogan slang. An example for this is when Dundee shows the marking on his leg from a croc bite and says, "Enough about me leg," and offers to dance with the lady.
Another example for this is in some of the Bondi Rescue episodes where the boys use slang language as they joke around on the beach. Once again, with the use of bogan language, I feel as though only a portion of the Australian population can relate to what we call the bogan language. Yeah, so to conclude, I use the history of bogans, the bogan attitude and language to show the Australian identity is very diverse and how it is only presented by a portion of the Australian community.